In the heart of American aviation, the Boeing 747 begins its legendary journey. Behind these doors, the Boeing 747 is built piece by piece. Thousands of skilled professionals come together to construct the Boeing 747. Every machine here exists for one mission: building the Boeing 747.
Long before assembly begins, the Boeing 747 is perfected in design.
Every curve of the Boeing 747 is engineered for strength and stability.
Advanced simulations push the Boeing 747 to its limits, up safely.
Only absolute precision earns approval for the Boeing 747.
The Boeing 747 assembly line comes alive.
Every lift for the Boeing 747 is planned to the millimeter. Perfect alignment is critical for an aircraft as large as the Boeing 747. Modern tools ensure flawless construction of the Boeing 747.
Every stage of the Boeing 747 is monitored in real time.
Soon, this space will hold the full form of the Boeing 747.
The foundation is set. The Boeing 747 assembly officially begins. Every Boeing 747 begins its life as carefully selected raw materials. Only aerospace-grade materials earn approval for the Boeing 747. Automation and human precision work together for the Boeing 747. Each cut defines the skeleton of the Boeing 747. The structural backbone of the Boeing 747 begins to form.
Precision down to microns is demanded for the Boeing 747.
Shaping the skin of the Boeing 747 requires immense force and control. Each Boeing 747 panel is carefully stabilized before assembly. Every Boeing 747 component is tested before it earns its place. Millions of connections will hold the Boeing 747 together. Even the smallest parts matter in the Boeing 747. Human expertise ensures the Boeing 747 remains perfectly aligned. The Boeing 747 structure begins to take its unmistakable shape.
Hidden strength is verified inside the Boeing 747.
The foundation of the Boeing 747 is complete.
The iconic body of the Boeing 747 begins with its forward fuselage.
Robotics ensure perfect placement on the Boeing 747. Human hands guide the early shape of the Boeing 747. Every rivet strengthens the Boeing 747 for a lifetime of flight.
Alignment accuracy is critical for the Boeing 747.
The central body of the Boeing 747 takes position.
Rotation systems allow full access to the Boeing 747 structure. The Boeing 747 gains internal strength and support.
Hidden systems are built deep within the Boeing 747.
The rear of the Boeing 747 approaches final assembly.
Millimeter-perfect alignment ensures the Boeing 747 flies true.
3 massive sections become one Boeing 747.
Technology seals the body of the Boeing 747. Every connection in the Boeing 747 is thoroughly verified. The unmistakable form of the Boeing 747 now stands complete. The wings of the Boeing 747 are built in a space as vast as the aircraft itself. These spars form the backbone of the Boeing 747 wings. Each rib defines the aerodynamic shape of the Boeing 747 wing. Human precision locks the Boeing 747 wing structure into place. Thousands of rivets give the Boeing 747 wings their incredible strength. Lightweight strength defines the Boeing 747 wing skin. The Boeing 747 wing shape is engineered to cut cleanly through the air. The wings of the Boeing 747 begin to look complete. Every sealed joint prepares the Boeing 747 for flight loads. Hidden flaws are unacceptable in a Boeing 747 wing.
The Boeing 747 wing is ready to meet the fuselage. Wing-to-body joining is one of the most critical steps for the Boeing 747.
These connections will carry the weight of the Boeing 747 through the skies.
Both wings of the Boeing 747 are now firmly united.
With wings attached, the Boeing 747 truly becomes an aircraft.
Supporting the weight of the Boeing 747 begins with its powerful landing gear.
Each Boeing 747 landing gear strut is built to absorb extreme forces. Robotic welding ensures structural perfection for the Boeing 747. Hydraulics allow the Boeing 747 to land smoothly despite its massive weight. Every Boeing 747 landing gear unit is stress-tested beyond real-world limits. Multiple wheels distribute the enormous weight of the Boeing 747. Even the tires of the Boeing 747 meet exacting aviation standards. Now, the Boeing 747 receives its foundation for ground operations. Perfect alignment ensures reliable deployment for the Boeing 747.
These connections anchor the Boeing 747 safely to the ground.
The Boeing 747 nose gear provides control during taxi and takeoff.
Smart systems allow the Boeing 747 to respond instantly during landing.
Its aerodynamic doors streamline the Boeing 747 once airborne.
For the first time, the Boeing 747 stands on its own. With landing gear installed, the Boeing 747 is ready for the next stage. Powering the Boeing 747 begins with the heart of the aircraft, its engines. Each blade of the Boeing 747 engine is engineered for efficiency and thrust. Robotics ensure perfect balance inside every Boeing 747 engine. Air is compressed in stages to generate power for the Boeing 747.
Extreme heat and pressure are mastered inside the Boeing 747 engine.
Fuel and air combine to unleash controlled power for the Boeing 747.
Protective nacelles streamline airflow around the Boeing 747 engines.
Before flight, every Boeing 747 engine must prove itself.
Each Boeing 747 engine is pushed beyond operational limits. Data confirms the Boeing 747 engine is ready for service.
Now, the Boeing 747 receives its source of thrust.
Perfect alignment ensures smooth power delivers for the Boeing 747.
These mounts hold the Boeing 747 engine firmly in place. Smart systems allow the Boeing 747 engine to communicate with the cockpit. With engines mounted, the Boeing 747 is ready to come alive. Inside the Boeing 747, a complex nervous system begins to take shape. Miles of wiring power every function of the Boeing 747. Every Boeing 747 cable is protected against heat, motion, and time. Flight commands travel instantly through the Boeing 747.
The digital brain of the Boeing 747 is carefully integrated.
These systems guide the Boeing 747 across continents.
High-speed data links keep the Boeing 747 constantly informed. Pilot inputs are translated into precise motion inside the Boeing 747.
Every circuit inside the Boeing 747 is verified and recorded.
Hydraulics give physical power to the Boeing 747's control surfaces.
Multiple systems of the Boeing 747 are tested simultaneously. The cockpit of the Boeing 747 begins to come alive. First signs of life appear inside the Boeing 747.
Redundancy ensures the Boeing 747 remains safe under all conditions.
The Boeing 747 is now electrically alive and ready for refinement.
The human interface of the Boeing 747 now begins to take form.
The cockpit foundation of the Boeing 747 is engineered for strength and safety.
This frame will hold the command center of the Boeing 747.
Pilots control the Boeing 747 through carefully designed interfaces.
Behind the panels, the Boeing 747 systems communicate seamlessly.
Even the seating of the Boeing 747 is engineered for long missions. The iconic upper deck of the Boeing 747 comes to life. Comfort inside the Boeing 747 begins beneath the panels.
The Boeing 747 interior is designed for efficiency and passenger comfort.
Safety systems are integrated throughout the Boeing 747 cabin.
Seating transforms the Boeing 747 into a people-carrying giant.
Self-contained modules simplify interior installation of the Boeing 747.
Every interior detail of the Boeing 747 is carefully verified.
For the first time, the Boeing 747 cockpit looks ready for flight.
Inside and out, the Boeing 747 is nearing completion.
With its core complete, the Boeing 747 now receives its final outer form.
These panels shape the aerodynamic identity of the Boeing 747.
Every seam of the Boeing 747 is permanently secured.
Surface perfection reduces drag and improves efficiency for the Boeing 747. The Boeing 747 exterior is digitally measured for flawless symmetry.
Now, the Boeing 747 enters the transformation stage.
Primer protects the Boeing 747 from extreme environmental conditions. Every sensitive area of the Boeing 747 is carefully shielded.
The Boeing 747 receives its iconic outer color.
Each paint layer on the Boeing 747 is bonded for durability.
Brand identity brings the Boeing 747 to life. Every marking on the Boeing 747 serves a critical purpose.
The final finish prepares the Boeing 747 for public view.
Before testing, the Boeing 747 undergoes one last visual check.
The Boeing 747 now looks as powerful as it was designed to be.
The Boeing 747 now leaves the assembly line for ground testing.
Every system of the Boeing 747 is monitored for safety and performance.
The Boeing 747 comes alive under the watchful eyes of engineers.
Taxi trials confirm the Boeing 747 responds flawlessly to control inputs. Landing gear and braking systems are verified on the Boeing 747.
Thrust is calibrated carefully for the Boeing 747's first flight.
Data ensures the Boeing 747 meets every operational standard.
The moment approaches, the Boeing 747 is ready to take to the sky.
Pilots feel the immense power of the Boeing 747.
The Boeing 747 gains speed, lifting with calculated precision.
Liftoff is imminent as the Boeing 747 defies gravity.
The Boeing 747 is airborne for the first time.
Every bolt, rivet, and panel performs perfectly on the Boeing 747.
The Boeing 747 proves its engineering brilliance in real time.
From blueprint to sky, the Boeing 747 has completed its maiden journey, a testament to human skill and modern technology.